know exactly where we're going all the way up to December. So make sure you tune in for that. We're going to be doing some stuff over the next 2 weeks to prep. So remember, every week, Friday at 1 p.m. for the next couple weeks. Friday, 1 p.m., come and hang out. Yes, Vanessa's losing her mind. Love that. So, Nick, where can people find you on the internet?
Yes, you can find me at Longo Designs on Instagram, and longodesigns.com is the website. I've got a pretty good link tree on Instagram that has just basically anything that's kind of going on at the moment. And on Twitter, Longo Designs Inc.
Sweet.
Yes.
Chris Porter in the house.
Dude.
Patricia, is there music in the background? Yes, there is. I can turn it down for you for sure. We're getting everything balanced out. Here.
Cool.
And yes, Giratima, it's going to be a good and fun time. All right. I think that might be it for.
Did we cover just about everything?
I think we covered just about everything. I think we did.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be really fun. And if it gets too awkward, anyway, I just turned the music off. So if it gets too awkward and weird, let me know. I'll pop it back on. If it's too loud, then we'll kick it for a while.
I wish I could hear it.
We can talk for 2 hours. You can listen whenever you want.
Yeah. Do you listen to music when you work?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't
without
jazz.
it. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So if you guys want to get involved outside of these challenges, or outside of this stream, and outside of office hours, there are daily creative challenges that are happening throughout the week. I believe that our friend Claudia is doing them right now. I saw her do it just before this stream, so you guys are coming over right after that. And today's challenge was to make an invitation design. So at the end of this stream, we'll be reviewing some daily creative challenges. If you can get it done by then, go ahead and toss it in. If not, we'll look at yesterday's, which was creating a kaleidoscopic design.
What?
I know, right? That's a big word. So we'll be looking at those at the end of the stream. And if you've been here with Nick and I ever, we love doing giveaways. So I know the Chat and Win has been gone for a little while, but guess what? We're doing a Chat and Win. So we'll do a Chat and Win about halfway through for you guys to win some time with us, some one-on-one time to talk about your portfolios, to get some advice, and hopefully for us to use our sage wisdom to guide you along this journey called life.
I love that word sage.
That's
it. The way you used it, perfect.
Yes, we can be sage. I feel like I'm about to be sage. If I need my mustache like up here, then I'll be sage.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think let's go ahead and hop in. Nick, I'm going to switch over to your screen.
Before you do,
yes.
I think I can introduce the product and everything we're going to be talking about, and then we can go to the screen.
Totally, yes. Do
Perfect.
you want to
a little background on what we're going to do?
Screen, or you just want to talk about it?
Oh, let's just talk about it, and then we can go to the screen.
Got it. Let's do it.
Cool, because I figured I can show the product and we can kind of talk a little bit about it. So
absolutely.
We're doing packaging today, and today primarily will be in Illustrator. The goal is for tomorrow to pop into Dimension a little bit, and maybe even using Aero, the phone app. Because man,
I haven't used either of those.
Oh, it's like the best combination for packaging for anything that you need to show a client in the real world, and it's not even close to being like made. They're such good the way the programs work seamlessly is amazing. So when we came to developing the show for this one, packaging was the theme, and I'm currently in a packaging project with a client right now, and I thought it made perfect sense to kind of jump into it. And this is the product. I can show it to you right here. If you can see, is this showing?
Here it is. It's floating in the background behind us.
Ah, yes, exactly. So there we go.
There's the real version of it.
Just came in the other day.
How many of you had, Nick? Honestly, how many of you?
Well, let's see. This is full. This is complete. I will show you. I finished it.
Yes. Bravo.
So what it is my client is called Simply Foods, and what they do is they've been making plant-based alternatives of some of your favorite stuff. And I won't name any names, but they are basically making chocolate spreads that are completely dairy-free, sugar-free, high in protein, made out of very limited ingredients, which is pretty neat. I don't know if you are reading labels a lot out there or kind of seeing, but there's a huge trend now of reduced ingredient foods. So the lower you can get on that, the better.
Yep.
They've been a client for quite a while, and maybe what we could do now is go to the screen here, and I will show you a little bit of the previous design. So this was what we were living with for quite a while. I think this was about 2 years ago. We were going heavily towards kids with this brand. Again, it's a healthy alternative. It's made with all these good things. And we thought a really cool, fun illustration like this could be what would really work. So over 2 years, the brand has found that they needed to change it up a little bit, and they thought this might have looked a little bit old-fashioned and maybe not as current and maybe not as boutique in the real kind of plant-based food section that you go in, like when you see in your store.
Yep, which feels like high-end and luxe and like
exactly.
Exclusive. Yep.
Maybe we got a little too. Someone even said like Willy Wonka, and that was obviously the goal. I mean, when you look at this font, like it has all those vibes.
Oh yeah, right? It's got Willy Wonka vibes.
Totally. I love that kind of look. This is in the House Industries font kind of area. And again, some of my favorite Foundry fonts there. So what we did was, this is something I will usually do before any kind of rebrand, is I'll put together just a ton of competitive samples. But what I do is I put them in categories. So if you go here, you'll see I've got a very traditional safe one here. Then I've got like a more exotic kind of collection here. The minimal, the playful, the confusing, because sometimes it doesn't fit in any pocket you're trying to make, right? Yep. And then there's the big brand equities ones. These are the big players out there. And there was something to be seen with their work. I thought when you look at this, to me, some of those called out a little bit faster as far as shelf appeal to me than some of these other ones that got a little too delicate and a little bit too fancy. And I thought, how do we find somewhere in between where we have the impact of this big brand equity, but we want to show some cool kind of individual stuff.
Yes, and there are a lot of people in chat that just want to say, give me all of those chocolate covered stuffs. Just
exactly.
I'll take one of each of those. Like definitely more of the client, but let's do some samples of all of this.
I wish we could do that. Wouldn't that be great to be like, let's taste while we're going through this?
Competitive analysis. That's what we're going to do here.
So this was kind of the summary of what I gave to the client before we rebranded. And I thought, we want clean, we want modern sophistication. We got to gear towards the mom. The mom's probably going to be the one buying this the most. Obviously, everyone's going to be out there. We hope it grabs all attention, but primarily that's who's going to be buying it. We wanted the quick identification, clear messaging. What's the differentiation of this compared to the other stuff next to it? And then still be colorful and fun. And I think you and I have talked about this too. Like, you want to show examples of what you're trying to say to the client. And these were 4 of the brands I showed that I thought summarized everything there that we were talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Easily identifiable, all that.
Yep. And even on here, I like that you've noted out geared toward the mom, because I feel like in brand briefs, a lot of times people try to appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's just for like all the people and like everyone shops and like everyone, whatever. But it's great that like, hey, if we get the mom, then the family's going to eat it, right?
Exactly.
The same thing.
Yeah.
I'm working on a church rebrand, and the whole position is the target demographic is the father of a young family, because if you get the dad, then the whole family is going to come. And so like identifying who that person is so important, even if it isn't everyone.
Exactly. Yep. And then, this is just the beginning explorations. And I know we all have those AI boards where it's like just a nightmare. I love those. I don't think I can get to the finished product without a really sloppy board. And of course, this was like just an abbreviation of it. But I wanted to show this as far as how the thought process goes and where these 2 or 3 ideas kind of started going towards. And then this is what our packaging looked like. And for those of you who have done packaging, you're probably well aware of what all these things are here. But when you're doing the label, I like to show this. I'll do a 3D model, and I think we'll be showing those in Dimension probably tomorrow. But when you're showing this for print, you want to make sure whatever, you might get this from the vendor or you might create it yourself in Illustrator. But I give myself the dotted black is basically your trim, and then this solid blue is your live area. The live area means you don't want any important information, meaning text, graphics, your UPC code, to go past that. Okay, yep. So you can see everything falls in there, but your flood colors and other things can go past it, which is great. And then I show them a trimmed version. I think it's kind of smart to show, because sometimes, our clients aren't supposed to know everything about a die line.
Yep, sometimes they see what are these lines on here?
Yeah. I love it when they get one and they're like, I'm sending this to you. I hope you understand it. Yep. It's like, yep, we got you. So I show a trimmed one as well. and that gets us there. So we have our 2 flavors. We have a peanut butter. Oh, I'm sorry. We have peanut butter chocolate, and we have a hazelnut and chocolate. So these are how they start to look. And then there were our finals. You saw those. You saw the live amp ones. These are just 3D renderings I show, so the client kind of is really excited about it. And then we made ourselves a little brand board of everything we have. Both Andrew and I are big supporters of naming your colors to something fun.
Yes, so fun.
Don't just call it yellow or orange. In this case, we called it peanut butter, dark chocolate, hazelnut, plant-based green.
Nice.
Whew, I'm talking too fast. Some of the ideas of where the fonts come from, why, it's neat to show them this way. I like getting the client sign off on this very well. So then came about a week or 2 ago, they came to me and they said, well, we now have our package, our jar. We need a box. And this box is going to be, we're calling it the influencer box. And what this is meant to do is they've got a list of about 1,000 social media influencers that they've already vetted. They're in the space that they are healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, plant-based alternatives. And what they want to do is send them something that when they open it, they're going to not only be engaged and excited, but they might even just film it. Like we all seen the unboxing
and they
videos.
post about it, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So up here in the top right is the blank box. That's kind of what we're going to be working with. They sent me a picture to show how it's going to look with the jars in it. And then they gave me a few ideas of like, here's some stuff that they saw on the market that they really like by doing their own research. And again, it was nice. We know our brand. It was just nice to see, oh yeah, this is exactly what we should be doing. Because of the budget, we are going to do 4-color process on the outside of the box.
Oh, wow.
But on the inside, we got 1 color. So you can see like the Kylie one, the FabFitFun one, they're doing what's probably, well, she's got 1 color on the inside. I'm assuming that's black on white. This looks like it might be a 2-color. But budget is a big thing. So I didn't want to design anything for the client until you know what the final color values are. I don't want them to feel like, oh, now we have to downgrade because their budget was a little bit less, right?
Yep. And it's not just like do whatever you want. Like it's really expensive to add 1 color. And so getting that up front is so important when you're working with packaging because every little detail is just extra money for them.
Exactly. So we hope to get through the front side of that today and then maybe touch on the 1 color inside tomorrow, and then we'll build a little bit of the dimension side. So here's our mission before we get into the file. We're going to create this impactful box for influencers to film, post, and share on social, maybe even like unbox it, right? Like that's the goal. Will they spend the time? Incorporate this new brand, have fun with it. This is where copy really comes in. Like we got to be really catchy and where it goes based on the order of how you're opening the box. You want to tell that story with your copy as well. Remember that this might be the first time they're seeing the product. So we can't take for granted that they know exactly what it is. And then we get this 1 color thing on the inside.
Yep. And we talked a little bit when Jeremy Slagle was on here at our last packaging design that part of the inside on packaging is actually the outside. So you can play with some extra accents when it folds over. So it doesn't have to be completely just like 1 color on the inside. Sometimes you can play and use those foldovers because they're technically the front when you do the die lines and start folding. Yeah.
And the way double wall, the way it folds over, you might have your outside becomes what's being printed on the inside.
Yep. I love the entirety of that point where both of us were just going like this, like 40 times. But there's no way to describe it in these little things.
You can tell when someone's done packaging before because that's basically 90% of it, right?
100%.
So this is our starting point. And for those of you who have not seen a die line, I'm going to give you a little explanation. This is exactly what we got from the vendor. And short story, fun fact, the place that they got this executed and engineered by was the first vendor I ever used years ago in doing packaging.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
It was this small world, and they saw my name involved on it. Just a good little side note of like your reputation as a designer. Like when they told the client how good of hands they're in because they know they worked with me for years. So little things like that. Don't burn bridges for sure. So this is it. And then what I've done is in layers, I want to show you guys a little bit what I did. We've got template, which is basically everything you see here, template notes. then you have the template, and then I have a sketch here that I'll show you in a sec, and then where I'm going to start my art building. And the whole point of here is I just want to have all that stuff locked on its own layer. When I start messing around with the art, it's not making any changes to this, because I don't want to be responsible for a stroke or a score line being moved. So my first thing is to get them, lock them down, and start figuring out mine. So I took this, you can see it's a little easier to work with. I took all the notes, put them on a layer, and now we can get rid of them.
Yep.
Okay. So this is basically everything. And if I put those back, you'll see we've got our front panel, our top panel, right side, left side. This would be your back side, and then this is getting covered by the actual thing. So I still, again, even though it's not seen when it's fully folded.
Yep, that's
like
the
you
reveal.
said. Yeah. Ooh, let's call them reveal panels.
Ooh, and then the other ones, if we can just do the emoji that is like
this guy here. I love it.
Yes.
So that we got everything. We know where everything is. So I'm going to turn off the notes, and just so I have everything here. What I started to do is I wanted to come up with this kind of preliminary sketch that would be the basis of kind of what we're going to shoot for on the design. I know with this one, if you're doing a full brand design, I think, obviously you want to show some options. But for this one, and knowing what my client's budget is, we already have the brand design. We have all the assets. To make it easier and more efficient for them and economical, I told them we'll just do one design. We'll probably knock it out pretty well. We'll do some changes and some stuff. And I might even get some call outs and some revisions from them overnight that we can talk about tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes when you're approaching clients, and here's how this show is going to work. We're just going to inject like advice, because that's
that's what we do.
Sometimes when you're working with clients and you have a clear direction of where you're going, it helps to quote a little bit lower, to be like, you're only going to get one option, but it's going to save you money from me doing more options, because I know that we're going to hit it on the first one.
Yeah.
And so I like that you have that conversation. That you're like, we're just doing one. It's not going to be options. We know what we're going to get. It's going to be great. Let's just do
exactly. There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, I've got all these on one layer. So I'm going to copy my art and some of the assets, because I know I'm going to need this for the box. I'm just going to bring it over here. That way I have some of the stuff to use and start making this. And then here's the sketch I kind of came up with. Again, I just did this in a notebook, and I used Adobe Capture.
Nice.
That way it's not only, I can bring it anytime I'm on another computer. If I don't have my sketchbook with me, it's in library. I just love that, right? It's just the coolest way to do it.
Libraries.
Yes.
Yeah.
So going in here, you can see, and for those of you who don't know how easy this is, it shows up here. I made a library for this brand. I think it's kind of neat to do that for your clients, because if you ever want to share with them too a library, it's only their stuff, They're not seeing
I literally was doing that last night on my personal stream, was making a library of all of the assets for clients so that they can just ship it out.
Yeah. So this is great. You just literally drag it right over, click, and I get my vectorized if I want. You can do this as a PDF, PSD, anything you want. But this is kind of the idea I was thinking. Since we have 2 flavors, there'll be more in the future, but only 2 are happening right now. I thought, wouldn't it be fun? Because looking at the brand, I was trying to think how these 2 colorways would work on one box.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we wanted these to show off on shelf as the same brand but different flavors, moving it into one box was a little bit funky. So the idea I kind of came up with was we'll split it down the middle, and you'll have an orange side and a peanut butter side. But then overarching things will be for the brand, but then particular things will be all about that flavor. And I thought, okay. And then this side on the far right could be about the peanut butter. This could be about the hazelnut. I got a good plan. All right, let's get into it. So this is kind of the beginning stages. What I'm going to do is form my bleed panel, but bring it to my art panel. So this is your bleed, this green, right? So if I unlock this guy, I'm going to grab just that. And you can see that's one big giant piece that's all by itself. And I want to bring that to my art file and be in exact registration with the template. And that will be where everything gets masked at the very end. So all I'm gonna do is just copy it. I'll relock this template and go to my art. And then I'm just gonna do paste in front, and it's right there.
Yep, and it's
Okay.
really nice to have that because then you can literally have something that when you're ready, you just clipping mask. You're like click,
Hmm.
click, and then everything you've created, you don't have to worry about like staying inside the lines and doing perfect shapes. You can go
Exactly.
crazy and then just snap it in.
Yep, exactly. You can see here they gave me a little center line, which was always great. But I'm just going to bring a guide right over to it. Do you ever zoom into your guide placement and see just how off you are?
I
Oh, I did pretty good.
I
Look at
use like
that.
the smart guides for everything, like the locks,
Yeah.
and so I just like let it do the thing and assume that it's doing it
Yeah.
right.
I'm still like I want to eye it, but then like 9 times out of 10 I'll zoom in and it looks like this.
Yep,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. Whenever I
So
make like a circle or a shape by eye, and I'm like, I think it's that, and you plug it in, it's perfect. You're like, all right, that's it, guys. Project's
exactly.
over. I made a perfect circle.
So I know I'm gonna have one side orange, one side peanut butter, or I should be calling them by their correct colors, right? It's kind of the game here.
Oh,
So
that's right. Yes.
I'm gonna give myself a nice big block here, and this will be the hazelnut side. And I'm gonna bring this one right over here, and this will be the peanut butter side. So I'm starting to get an idea of like, okay, we got our split kind of box here.
Yep.
I kind of like the idea. Kind of looks too like it's been almost like dipped in one side, dipped in the other, which is kind of fun with this. So
Yep. And
anyways,
already we have doubled our ink printing costs. So just like
yeah.
think about it as you're designing. You're literally like, oh, I want to do one side this color, one side that color. Cool, double
Mhm.
printing, like double color
Yeah.
costs. So it's interesting to see that as you go. It's like cool. This is like essential to the project.
Yes, exactly. And then we thought about too, like someone brought up in a conversation, what about white? Like, and I thought this is not, first of all, this is not a retail box. This is not going to sell on a shelf somewhere. This is all about getting somebody excited to open it and being engaged. So I was like, the white, we'll use it for type and some other things the same way we used it on the packaging. But then you risk scuffs and it getting dirty, and then someone might choose not to shoot it because of that. So
Yep.
little things that you're thinking in advance, because this is a different kind of box and a different kind of thing. So anyways, we've got this kind of going here. I'm going to start on the front panel here as well. And knowing that I want to say, my thought here was spread the goodness, spread the news is kind of our theme.
Wow.
So we're gonna go with spread the news on this one. So I'm gonna start something off here. We found this really great font called Vance. I don't know if you have been keeping on board with a lot of these things. Some of these new ones I found.
The only Vance I know is an artist whose name is Vance Joy. He's a singer and his voice is incredible. That's the only Vance I know.
There's one more Vance. Who can name it in chat? Come on.
Yeah, chat. Let us know who the other Vance is because I have no idea. And hello,
it's
all kinds of fun people.
It's from a famous TV show.
Wade Acuff is here. Carol just popped in. Our friend Ryan, who does a lot of streaming on Behance. Hello, Ryan. Thanks for joining us, friends. Let us know, one, who the other Vance is, and two, let us know where you're watching from in the world. There's a lot of people here, so let me know where you're watching from in the world. If you were on YouTube, first, hello, YouTube. This isn't the right place to be. Sorry, Behance people, we're just going to have a side conversation real quick. Hi, YouTube people, I need you to come over to Behance. Behance.net/live is where we are. It's where the chat's happening. Come on over here and drop me a red heart to let me know that you are coming from YouTube. You're surrounded by red. You need to be surrounded by gray and blue. So come over to Behance, hop into our chat there. Yes.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Perfect. All right, great. So I loved our little tip we got from the hoods the couple of times ago with the getting rid of that little extra area here on the side. Love that tip. Like this font didn't have that. When you center it, you get it pretty well, but a lot of times you get that over excess stuff on the side, and it doesn't center it perfectly. So I'm just all about that. I think it looks great.
I forgot about that, honestly.
Yeah, that's why it's such a lifesaver.
Yep, that is the reason to watch these streams, is even the people that you see on these streams that are like doing things, we're actively learning as well.
Yeah.
And like forget stuff that we've seen and then we see it again and be like, oh my gosh, that is a really great trip that I should be using in my workflow.
Exactly. Love that. Love that. So I'm just going to mess around a little bit with like the hierarchy. I obviously want the news to be a little bit more of the thing here. It's something new. It's something different for them to try. The other thing I want to do was like, I wanted to give it that like kind of like second drop shadow, that idea. And I really like, it has this really cool exclamation mark. Kind of looks like a pen and ink thing a little bit there, doesn't it?
That's very interesting.
Isn't that kind of cool? It's really nice. So for this one, I'm just going to convert it to paths, right?
Yep.
And I'm just going to do like a shift with a 45-degree kind of like copy.
Yep.
Right. So with shift gives you the either 80-degree, a 90-degree, or 45.
Yep.
And I'm just going to give it that. This would be considered the space. And then if you do Command D again, you get all three, which is really, I love that. It's just that step and repeat.
Oh, that looks really good. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great in outline. Yeah. And hello,
I know.
friends. We are across the U.S. We have California, we have Florida, we have Michigan,
Dang.
all the way out to New Zealand. Of course, our friend Steve Festus Kasaboom is here from New Zealand. And Dennis Hellebot, thank you for coming over from YouTube. Bless us a nice little red heart.
That's your way of knowing?
Yeah. What was the name of this font? People are asking.
It's called Vance.
Vance. I forgot, and it's Vance.
Yes, and it is a trivia question. If someone can name a very popular Vance in a TV show,
yes,
someone's got to know it.
Yeah,
Come on.
Somebody Google it.
No. I want you to know it by
Don't Google it.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus the middle one from the back one, and what that's going to do is give me that negative space, and it's going to give me that funky little drop shadow. So what I've done is I basically selected the middle one, and I'm sending it to back, and then that plus the back one in Pathfinder. There we go. I'm going to go here to minus back. Oh, you know what I didn't do?
Compound
I did compound path.
Got it.
Option 8.
Vivian Vance, someone said. Is that the leather Vance?
Ooh, that is the that is from I Love Lucy, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yep.
That wasn't the one I was thinking of. More current.
One from Seinfeld?
No,
okay.
It's from The Office.
Oh, I don't even know that. Vance Refrigerators?
Yes.
Vance Refrigerators. Got it.
Vance Refrigeration. Nice. There you go.
Alberto, send me a DM and I'll send you a font. We'll give you a prize. Why not? We're giving prizes. That's what we do on our streams. Go ahead. And yes, Foy Vance. Patricia, that's who I was talking about. Foy Vance is like amazing voice, amazing singer. Lithuania, Belgium. My goodness, you guys are so awesome.
Wow. Dang.
Yes.
All right, this should work. So minus back. There we go.
There we go.
So see what it did?
Yep.
Exactly.
Little, sign letter, kind of like I always think of it as drawn on like glass windows.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Right. Yep. So I made it just a different color just so I can see, because we can see it has some funkiness there and there's some things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select them all, ungroup it, and then in wireframe we can see if there are any kind of these little imperfections. So here we got a few that I can probably just get rid of, like these little guys.
Yep.
That way it's just a little bit cleaner. We'll go through here. I don't think I'm missing any. Get rid of that one.
Yep. And there's sometimes that literally just systems can create really great effects. That it's cool. The system in my brain is I'm moving it down this many pixels, right this many pixels, and then punching it out. That there are small details that you want to fix, but thinking about a system means that we can then replicate this on any type that we do, and it will stay cohesive.
Exactly. So to get a quick little one-step way to get this all done is just to go to Unite in your Pathfinder. It'll make it one color, but obviously you can see what it's done. It's bridged all those areas. You never want to give someone, especially a printer, something like this, where there's all these, let's go back here. There we go. We have these crossovers.
Yep.
That way you're risking, if for any reason something's grabbed and it doesn't grab the entire entity, and you just don't want to even worry about that stuff happening. So all I'm going to do again is grab it all, and then I'm just going to unite it.
Boom.
And then that way, now I have this. I usually do it off to the side in the white just so I can see what I'm doing. And let's fill it with our dark chocolate color.
Yes, I do the same thing. That like the entirety of whatever the live design is broken into a million pieces, just like around the artboard.
Oh my God!
Elements are scattered, and like it looks really great right here.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best reasons. Like sending a PDF version of even your in progress stuff.
Yep.
Only includes what's on the artboard, right?
Yes.
So you can have all that other stuff on there, and I think you're pretty good. So I'm off to a good start. I think I kind of like where this is. News is obviously a little bit more of the hierarchy here, but now I want to bring in the logo. And when I go back here, our logo lockup consists of both these two here. So you can see it's the white version of Chocolat and this simply in green. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to bring this over.
We just add another color. That's a cha-ching right there.
Yes. Yep. Well, this is all 4-color.
Yep. Yeah. I'm
we're still
in my
pretty
brain,
good.
Like as we spend money.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
You're
to
like,
think about that with clients. Is every design decision is spending their money, and you
yes.
want to be conscious of that.
Yeah. But like, again, like knowing that we're not doing a fifth color or we're not doing anything additional. And we've seen that the artwork does work. It prints really well in 4-color. Sometimes you might have like a red or a blue that just you cannot match in the 4 CMYK. So we knew everything kind of worked out pretty good here. So we're happy with it as well.
Yep. And especially if you're not doing like spot UV or anything, you're like, yeah, let's do it's for
Exactly. Exactly. So there we go. We're starting to build the front of this. And now what's really nice about that arc is you can see we have these things. And one of the things we originally did, let me grab that, get back to here, was I wanted this kind of like bullseye thing because, again, they were talking about attention grabbing, getting people's attention, and this idea of like, you know, would this be just a subliminal, very small kind of added on thing that will help lure people over? What was funny was I showed it with it, and one client kind of mentioned like, oh, it's a little distracting. And then in his next statement, he said, but we want something that's going to make it pop. So I was like,
yes, it's distracting. It's taking too much of my attention, but we want to grab the attention.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So feel free to make t-shirts out of anything we say here because it's so true, right?
Yes.
Like, I just think it's hilarious. Oh, there's a big mistake. You can see I did not group the registration mark with the logo.
Oh.
See what happened? It didn't come with our boy here.
A tiny little detail that would have actually been disastrous.
Oh my goodness gracious. So you're learning from my huge mistake here, right? So I'm going to get this guy in here. Let's make him a little bit bigger. And whoops, I squashed him. And we're going to throw him right in that pocket. And then look what I'm going to do. I grouped it. See, Mom?
There we go. Now it's together.
I'm not losing anything here. Okay. So what I kind of now want to do is, since we're doing the split, my thought was to do the hazelnut illustration on one side, the peanut butter one on the other. That way we're kind of emphasizing this whole idea of what we want to do. So the bullseye in this kind of come over, bring it to the front.
Can you talk a little bit about how that bullseye is built? I'm just curious.
Ooh.
Like with the images and the combination of like, that's probably a raster image with the vectors, like all that.
Believe it or not, that was a vector image that we had made. Yeah. And it's great to have because of scalability, right? With the vector, the artist that did it was so great to have because now we know we can scale this up if they ever do like a billboard or anything at a trade show.
Zoom in on that?
Yeah.
Just so
but it is a PSD now. So what I did was to slow down. It would slow down the process of working in Illustrator if that was all vectors.
Yeah, right. There's probably a billion like gradient meshes.
Exactly. So you can see all those great little highlights and everything. So clean. I love stuff like that. I know. Whew. I mean, Illustrator for these Illustrator things, the folks I know that do this, man, I'm so envious of that. I tried it. We had Michael Fugoso on in our class. And he did a really great rendering of just a sphere with a shading, with the shadow. And when he told me he was going to build that in Illustrator, I was like, there's no way. I know Illustrator, it can't be done. Me and my students were like, our jaw dropped.
Yep.
Look it up on it's on CSUN Saga YouTube channel, and there's a great tutorial.
Yep, I will
really cool.
actually Wade. We're gonna send Wade on a scavenger hunt to try to find that and drop the link for us.
Oh, it's actually we didn't publicize it. I'm gonna edit down that version and we will put it on there. Sorry about that.
Wade, you're off the hook.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the bullseye?
Yeah. Well, I think I was more curious about the
illustration.
The illustration, like the bullseye, I'm sure is like you're using different circles, putting out, punching them out, or whatever. Yeah. Totally get that. I was curious about the illustration. Yeah, that's totally insane that's vector.
It's amazing, right?
Yep.
But one thing I did do is instead of I built the circles in just lines, so they were the exact same, weight.
Yep.
But then I always expand it because again, you don't want a printer grabbing it and changing the point size of it. You want to make sure it stays consistent. No one can mess it up, right?
Yep.
So that's basically how it looks. We'll bring this back over. And it's going to need a little finessing because this is a totally different size than what we have on our label. So what I want to do is I think we're going to make the bullseye a bit smaller. Okay. And
And I like that we're working with existing things and just
yes,
augmenting them to something else. So this shows the
yeah,
importance of a well-designed system, even though it is for like, cool, this is just for, a packaging for a jar. Thinking of,
exactly.
okay, this is a system. How does it scale? And now
Hmm.
it's like, cool, we need other things, and it needs to still be able to work.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I know I got to leave some space for a little additional stuff here. So I'm just going to find a good happy place for it. I think it looks good.
I like the happy place of like talking about alignment. And you're like, what's
Yeah.
the
Oh my
happy
God.
place for
This is like, it's those things you say in your mind while you're working. I get to
Yes.
now just say it out loud. I love
I
this.
love
This
it.
is great.
That's what this
So
is
I
for.
like that it looks centered. This got a little bit larger in its scale to it. So just to make sure, I'm just going to, copy, drag it over. That way I know everything's lined up and ready to go. But I got some changing to do. So we're going to get this guy and change it to our secondary yellow color, which I should just put in palettes, but I've got it right there. And there we go. Okay.
Yep. That's always a funny thing hearing people say that they're like, I should just throw this in palettes because I do the same thing that I use it like 40 times. And I'm like, I should have
Until
put
I-
it in a palette, but I'm like, every time I'm like, no, I'll just grab it.
Exactly. One thing I like to do too is knowing that these are very similar in design, and I think in the cropping. If I just go here, I can see the Xbox of that. So I'm just going to bring this over it and just eyeball it to the exact size.
Yep.
As close as I can. That way I know they're kind of similar. And then when we remove the hazelnut and bring this guy over,
Yep. And I
a
love
nice
seeing
happy medium.
like someone who is this professional, like amazing packaging designer, like doing this stuff and just kind of like, yeah, we'll put this over here and kind of move this over there. I think a lot of people have this imposter syndrome that they're like, oh, there's like a way to do it. There's no like way to
No,
do something.
I
Like, it just
know.
work. Like you just figure it out.
And here's like a good question for you, maybe even some of the folks in chat. Like, you shouldn't be so precise as that filter I put through at the very, very end before it's first shown to a client. I don't care if this is a mess right now, to be honest with you. I just want to get a design comp done and then fine tune it, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of the way to go. So we're looking pretty good here. I think I'm going to raise these up a little bit more. And then I'm just going to group them now that I have them together. This guy and him are grouped. We'll bring that there. Perfect. So now I just got to title these a little bit more. So I'm going to go back to here. And what we did was on some of this art, you can see I gave it like a pretty thick outline just to help kind of the printer have a solid around it. So when they trap that white, it's a little bit easier. Okay. So if I go here, I can see what I have is I have two sets of the font right over each other. So
Are you keeping that all live text?
right now, this is.
Okay.
Sometimes until we're maybe 2 or 3 rounds in with the client. Actually, no, not until print, because
Smart.
you never know. Like, especially with, see how all this has been changed, because I outlined the nutritional facts because they were solid and nothing was changing. But there was going to be a change in order of the ingredients, so I kept that live just in case.
Okay.
How many times did always keep a live version, do a save as when you're printing, and make the print version? You see
Okay.
and outline those. I remember seeing years ago from a great vendor, they sent me art, and the designer had made a live AI version and an outline AI version. And from that day on, that's just how I do it as well. So you can give them the fonts, you can give them the live version, but sometimes a printer just doesn't want to deal with it. They want the outlined everything, all the images embedded, give me one AI file and a PDF proof. And so that's knowing that that's what they do. That's pretty cool. Okay. So here's those two. And to get that, there's a few ways to do it, but I'll show you. So here's just your white version, right? And here's the outline version here. So I don't know, like when you do your an offset like this, I'm not converting it to outlines. So I don't want to use offset path just yet, right?
Okay.
So what I'll do in this case is I'll just copy it and then I'll paste in back and then I'll give it an outline. And you can see it's just a shade of it there. But if I go to stroke, I can move this up and I get those funky ones. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
meters,
hilarious.
baby.
So you want to go to show options and you want to turn it to the round right here or the chiseled. Chiseled always cuts off a little bit too much.
You can
There
also
you go.
take down the meter limit that's on
Yes.
the right beside that, and it will take away
Exactly.
some of those as well.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I build that. And then what I will do is I'll take those two and just group them for now. So this way, when I'm moving them, I'm getting both, right?
Yep.
So I know with this one, we're good to go. So I'm going to copy it. We're going to come back over to this guy, paste, and bring this here. And I think I'm going to want, so we have some other call outs. This is really important. This dairy-free, plant-based, and no palm oil. So those are like their three main drivers. So I definitely know I need some space for it here. So this is the trial and error, right? You're just like messing with things going, well, maybe the chocolat could be a little bit smaller. Then let's bring these guys up. Now I'm looking like I'm going to have some space for everything. Okay.
Yeah. And remember when we're looking at the brief at the beginning, the brief said that we want it to be an experience. We want to inform them. They maybe haven't seen the product. And so for us, it's like, oh, cool, we've seen it. Like, we know, we can just put the flavors on there, make it look really cool. Then like, oh, no, they're not familiar with it. So we need to educate them. So the design decision we're making is to put all of those call outs on there as well.
Exactly. So we've got this one here. We got to get our peanut butter now. So I'm going to grab this guy. Got our net weight. We don't need that. And we'll bring this over. And I love getting challenged like with these ones where, like you said earlier, it's a totally different vehicle for the brand to live on. And this is where you get applied for, you know what I mean? Yep. So I love that idea of seeing if that works, Yep.
This is the reason that, and this is my hot take we've talked about a million times, that I think logos don't matter and they're going to be irrelevant. Because it is all about the system. Like, how does the system work in its entirety outside of just like that chocolate logo is such a small detail in the entirety of this system. Yeah,
exactly. So we don't have something here to say and. So I want to put in a cool little ampersand here as well. So I'm just going to like with our circle. What's that?
I was going to say, what does the ampersand look like in that font? But you're going
to,
right? It could be pretty funky.
It could be good. Hey, it might be really bad actually sometimes, That's the test of it. So let's see.
The joy of design.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't like it.
So good. Not because I didn't either. Here's what I'm going to do.
It's a really cool element. I don't like it for the overall aesthetic. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're using a secondary font, Brother. And Brothers, I believe it's called Brothers, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, Brothers. And I know it's a very heavily used font. I would never use it in like in a brand at this point because I've just seen it used so much. And the last thing I want is a client coming back and going like, hey, brand X is that the same font as we have? And you just don't want to be caught in that. I'm using it for this secondary font because I want that kind of chiseled, kind of like almost like it was a chunk of chocolate and it's been carved. I love the angles of it.
That's such a great concept.
I love that, right? It's just such a cool idea. So my thought here is we'll just do a little bit here. I'm going to convert that really quick to outlines just so I can make sure it's good and centered. But again, it might look good now, but when I pull it away, I feel like it might be a little heavy. So I'm going to that's one of the things I always tell my students, and I don't do it as often as I should, is back away from the computer every once in a while.
Yes.
And because scalability looks totally different when you're like this as opposed to looking at it back.
Yep. So I can look at like you said, the design, the check is like the lean back in the chair and like,
exactly.
You need that.
So I'm just going to find a nice little happy medium so it's not so overpowering. It looks a little bit better there. Cool. Get rid of that guy that we did not like.
So real quick, Caitlin in chat is saying, this stuff is amazing. I just feel like a beginner. I'll never be able to get to this level of creativity and knowledge. What I need to learn is fun yet overwhelming. Do you have any advice for her, Nick, on how to
what was the last part? What she needs to learn is what?
What she needs to learn is a bit overwhelming.
Oh gosh. Well, we're never at the stage we want to be. Like, trust me, we all see people that are, you have to have people behind you and you have to have people in front of you. You're helping the people behind you, right? And hopefully the people ahead of you are doing the same to you. Trust me, no one's got it down. Yep. No one's got it down. Talk to the top folks in our industry. We love that a lot of people are being very transparent with that now. I think most people are. And you have to have some humility here. It's like I've been using Illustrator for years, but it's kind of like still you learn something new every day.
Yep.
It might be from a YouTube video. It might be something I see on Behance or whatever, but you never stop learning with that. But you have to use. That's it. I think in the whole time I've used any of these, including Dimension, which is so brand new, I haven't used a single manual or a book, right?
Just YouTube all day or watching these streams. And a great way to get involved if you are a beginner, Caitlin, I would suggest doing this on the screen here. Wade will drop a link. It is the Behance Creative Challenges. There are these for XD, for Photoshop, for Illustrator. Right now we're in the middle of one, so you can join those daily creative challenges. They're great ways to practice, and it will notify you there's a video with an instructor and a mentor. I'll be your mentor August 31st if you want to come back for that. But right now I believe it's cloudy, so you can get involved with those. You also can go up here to bit.ly/AI Discord. Thank you, Nick. And that's the place that you can get into a community. It's so important to have design community around you when you're a beginner. So go there. There's some great mentors. They can help you with challenges. You can talk to friends. Make sure you check that out. All right, perfect. Nick, back to you. I know, that was a lot.
Back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, Nick and I are both here very much to... Sorry, there's like literally a plane outside my window.
Oh, no worries. Keep going.
Nick and I are here to help you as much as we can. That's literally like, I think, our role in the design community. We're both designers, but really at heart, we just want to help you get better. So
exactly. So I brought this over here. This is going to be the last thing that I really need to kind of play off here. I think the white might be a little jarring. I'm going to try it in the dark chocolate just to see. Oh, that helps a little bit. That helps the titles stand out a little bit more.
Yep.
I think there's a little contrast there. But the one thing I want to do is, well, let's see. We also have...
Oh, that's a ruler that you have. I've been trying to figure out what the line is across the screen because I thought it was something on my end, and it's literally just the guide that you have at the bottom of chocolate hazelnut spread.
Yes.
Yep,
this part here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm just lining up my text, man. Come on.
I'm just all over. I'm so sorry.
Just got to clean this up.
Work your process.
So I'm going to see. Let's see here. I think that looked a little too close. I've got a little more right to left space here. So I'm just going to, you know what's funny too is when you have these three things that you're trying to center, a lot of times what I'll do is like make sure this guy is nice and centered, right? And then I'll take these two guys, make sure they're centered, and then it usually lines them up pretty well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I do that too. I'll group the outside ones and then center them and then do the rest in between.
Exactly. So maybe go ahead.
Aaron actually has an interesting idea of doing the wave down the middle. That's an interesting idea.
Down the middle. Let's see. Oh, here, like in between as separators?
Yeah, maybe.
Like a line that waves?
Like, well, you did the, I think you have it like at the top of the jar. You kind of have that like wiggle wave. Maybe incorporating that in some way.
Let's see.
Chad, if you ever have suggestions, 100% throw them out. We will either say, that's a great idea, or we'll say, like, that works for this.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a collaborative project. You can be armchair designers. Why not?
Yeah. So I think he's talking about this wave that we used here, right? This kind of wavy?
I think so.
And then bringing it in where? Let's see.
Maybe doing it where the
by the way, I'm gonna hit save.
Yes, save your file. Maybe the way that you have the orange or the peanut butter and the orange. What are the two colors? Yes. Maybe even using that like shape of the wave at that split, so it's not like a flat split, so that it kind of waves in between those two colors. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Something. I mean, maybe
vertically.
Ooh, maybe a nice border at the bottom like that.
Ooh, actually, cool. Yes.
You know what I mean? And then we can kind of.
And then you have room to put those three things on there that aren't getting like split in between letters.
Yeah. So I'm going to grab these three. There we go. That's kind of neat. So it shows it's enhancing the chocolate a little bit more. I think with these guys, let's see. If I ungroup this. Oops. Let's get this.
Yeah, I love live working on these streams because it is very much like, ooh, and yes,
a
lot of people are saying on the vertical up and down, but I really like it because we're talking about right, dipping things into it. It's an index to tell you that like this is a spread. It's something that you can like scoop into, that you can dip stuff into.
Yeah.
I think that that informs what the product is more than what the flavors are. I think if we put it on the
Yeah.
article, it would say, oh, look at these fun flavors. But having the chocolate at the bottom is like, ooh,
Mhm.
you're actually going to like dip this. And then you're opening it into the chocolate, right? It's giving that experience
Yeah.
that it's opening.
And it gives me a chance to bring in the green a little bit.
There we
I like
go.
that. That's kind of nice. Okay.
Look at us go, chat. Look at us go.
Whew. Thank
Chat,
you so much.
Send us an invoice, chat. Send us a
I
link.
know.
And send us an invoice.
So I got to bring these guys up front, and we're gonna make them white.
And so to do that, he's just hitting Command or Control Y.
Yes. There we
That
go.
takes it
Yeah.
into outline mode.
That is, I love when I show a student that, and they're like, "How did you just do that?"
Yep.
Yellow wireframe is the best. It's just unreal.
Yep.
So we're gonna go.
There are often times that I will do a design and then put it to outline mode, and I'm like, crap, that looks so much better in just outlines, and I'll screenshot it and take it to Photoshop and then
Yes.
do like trace over it or whatever, and then it's like, cool, it looks like this cool hand done design that literally was because
Yeah.
I looked at it in outline mode.
I love it. So let's make this one maybe the green, just for fun. We'll see how that looks.
Yep. And
Okay.
the green on that brown is really giving me like that it is that all
Plant.
natural, that it is chocolate, that it's giving me that information perfectly of all those things we want to communicate.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm gonna move this, let's see, a little bit up, and then that way I think it gives us a little more room to take all of this stuff. So when I feel like it's pretty good, something like that, I'll just group it. That way I know it makes it a little easier to grab things. Group this, and then let's grab that, and the brown, and bring it up a little bit. Okay. Now I feel like we're getting good there.
Yep.
Okay.
And again, we're keeping this super sloppy because we're going to tighten it up at the end, right? That,
Exactly.
Like, oh, there's something on the left. It's not lined up.
Yep.
Who cares? Like
Yep.
we figure it out as we go.
So I know I want this to probably stop here because I have to bring some of the branding down into these other things here. So I'm going to just have it there for now. I'll worry about the sides later. Got to remember now, this is my tuck flap here. So that's going to get tucked in. God,
This one and this one.
I need some gifts here, man.
Yeah, we need
and
like a
and
designer version
yeah.
of charades. That's what we need.
Exactly.
That's
Coming
it.
soon to Adobe Live.
That's it. Yeah.
I
That's the
love
new
it.
show.
Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to try here is something a little bit unique. This is the front panel. So this is the area where I know they're going to open first. And I just thought, just to give them a head start, maybe what I'll do is do something similar to that where it'll go off this vibe. I'm just going to option drag a circle right at the edge there. And I want to give it like a little open tab, like a, just, you know, like when you see that on packaging.
Yep.
There's a
That's where you grab to move. Yep.
Exactly. So I'm just going to grab one of these here. I know, whoops, let's grab, what was it? We know this one's still live, right? Yeah. And I think Vance will look good as open.
Absolutely.
I can't, there we go. Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
Love that.
And we have about probably like 40-ish minutes until we do some challenge reviews. We'll come back to that.
Great.
So make sure you submit your challenges to our Discord, bit.ly/AI Discord. We'll be reviewing those in a little while. And in
Excellent.
about, 10 minutes here, we'll do a little chat and win in chat to give away
Perfect.
some time with Nick and I to review your portfolios, look at your work, and give some advice. So
Excellent.
Nick's just going to keep working, and I'm going to
Perfect.
make sure that we keep talking because that's my job.
So here's a preview. This is basically the crop line. So that's the goal I want. This is what's going to be there. That's the trim line, which is our black. This is our bleed line. So that's going to get basically masked when we do that on our final step, but that's why it's bleeding. So when you get to a point here, I know a lot of times people will take this, they'll cut right here and they'll butt it right up against the trim line. Always remember the bleed has to go past because of the tolerance of your blade. Wherever that comes down and chops this thing down, you want to make sure there's no little like hesitant like white sliver of because the anything to go past it. Okay.
Yep, and I've done some boxes that get really off. to where it still is outside the bleed, but it's pushing all the way to that edge of the bleed. You're like, it still works and it still looks good, but man, it is all the way to the edge of that bleed.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I got here was I did get a little bit of insight. Let's see here. Get back to that guy. I always like to see my artboard.
Wait, how did you just do that?
Command Shift H.
What?
Oh my God! You see, see now going back to that listener that mentioned like I have so much to learn. Like this is like these are those things that like you think everyone knows, but it's I get shown those every day.
No idea. So I work in light mode so that I can work with a full white all the way across. And so there's literally a hotkey to just turn the background to white. Oh, that's amazing!
Isn't that great?
Thank you.
All right. So this was some stuff that kind of came from the client. I just copied it from an email, but the idea here is they wanted to put something you are about to try, the best plant-based chocolate out there, or you won't believe this chocolate is plant-based or dairy-free. I kind of like the second one. I think that just sums it up a little bit more. So I'm going to copy that. We'll go back to our, whoops. I love that. Command O, Command 0.
Yep.
Do totally different things.
Command O and Shift O. Shift O is your artboards tool. There are a million times that I'm trying to grab artboards and I'm like, let's open a file now.
Exactly. So I'm just going to build a text box. We'll pop that in here. And this will go to our Vance. Here, I'll just grab it for now. Oh, it didn't work.
And you, not a lot of people, I feel like people don't know this. You can select text and highlight it and use the eyedropper tool, and it will copy the formatting. Not just the color, it'll capture all the formatting.
Love it. So I'm going to go with, I think for just certain things like this, I'm going to go with uppercase. I think might work a little bit better. We got to bring this down in size a little bit. So I'm going to go here. And always too, like I'm getting really like particular about the line breaks and other things like that. Yep. And you want to read your copy to make sure it's going great. So you won't believe this chocolate. So I think there's usually a break there. And then and then maybe let's get the ampersand here.
Yep.
So I think that reads pretty well, right? And we want this to be in our dark chocolate. So this is kind of the beginning of the conversation here for our reader to kind of go, okay, this is the first thing I'm going to read. And they gave me some application shots to start showing now what the brand's going to, what the actual product looks like in use, like when you use it. So I'm going to place a file here and we'll take a look at it.
And yes, Xavier, that's such a great idea when they will have global no hyphenation in paragraph setting. That's a really great feature request.
Yeah.
You can actually submit that stuff. I believe that it's in the menu of Illustrator. You can submit things, or if there's like ever a crash, that actually goes to a person. I was in a meeting and I met the guy and he's like, you know, the crash reports, when you type something in, that ends in my email. So it is a real person that is actually taking the information that is applying it to the product. So suggestions like that are really great. That would be super helpful in my process as well.
That's great.
Say, like, no hyphenation across the board. Absolutely great idea.
That's awesome. So we have old photography because they haven't shot new ones yet. And you can see it has the old packaging in it. So we got to get a little creative with how we crop and do this. So my thought was maybe a circle might be a good like combination of showing both all of that, but not the packaging. Yep. We could obviously maybe do a little Photoshop work and get that in there if we need to, but I'm just curious to see. So I'm just grabbing both. Command 7 for mask, and we can see if it works, right? If we're getting there, does this show something kind of nice? And since we're talking here about it being plant-based, I'm going to give it a hyphen because I think that helps a little bit better too. One thing we have here was we did a little like plant-based icon.
Ooh, fun.
Very cool. I'm going to bring it back to this file. And what I think it's missing is maybe like, what do you think about a white circle behind it that's just slightly bigger? Okay.
Okay. Tell me more.
Okay. I'm going to send it to back. I'm going to select both of these, and I want to just center really quick with both.
There we go.
And I'm just thinking of like, what whoa, hey, where do my,
It's there.
I know. Are they on different
Oh,
Copy
see,
X.
I
Go back to
never
layers.
work with layers in Illustrator. 0% of the time have I ever used layers.
Really?
Because I can just select stuff and go into outline mode as I'm
There it
doing
is.
it. I
Yeah.
never work with layers. I always just lock the things that I don't want to like do anything with.
Yeah.
And then go in and just work with everything on one layer.
Yeah. I that was my first. Like, I totally agree. Like, I didn't even know it had layers. I'm like, that's Photoshop, right?
Yes.
And once you start getting a call back from a printer going, hey, I'm going to need these in layers. And they're like, and he's like, I can charge your client, but it's going to be, $400 an hour. It's like, maybe you should do it.
Yep.
And you just want to be a better, partner to your client. So now I really, really do this all in art to begin with. When it's all said and done, then I'll do some separations. I might do backgrounds. I might do all text. I might do photography, and just a way of having them, because in most cases, those are the things you want to select as a group and do something with, right?
Yep.
Change them
Absolutely.
up a little bit. Yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
I get it, chat. I get it. I should start using layers. People were, everyone's like, I die without layers. I have to use. I get it. I get
That's
it. I'm gonna start
great.
using layers. I'll start using layers.
That is great. Let's see. I had another. Let me see. What was it called? I'm looking over here. So we had a really cool little subtext here. I think this looks a little empty on its own with just this here. So what I'm going to do is keep the hierarchy of this being headline, all caps. So I'm going to do either way. Chocolat is a delightful. Forgive me for doing this. Alternative.
This is exactly how I work as well. Like, people will ask me, like, hey, what's the event about? Or like, what time is it? And I'm like, I literally have just looked at the individual letters and like syllables and have no idea what any of the actual information is. And I've probably put it on 90 things. Like, I do the same thing where I just sound it out and then I look at the letters and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah.
Yep, exactly. So let's work on some letting there. And I believe this one should go back to our white just as a nice compliment. There we go. So some things I think visually I like to just look at things and kind of go like, okay, this could probably stack nicely with that way that photo is. Like maybe it's just nicely centered like that. If you look at it, you see what I mean?
Yep.
Like I'm always looking at other sides. Packaging is all about looking per panel, but then looking at two panels to see how things flow, how things move. And one of the best things I've been noticing about being able to create 3D models on Dimension, which we'll do a lot tomorrow, is you can see inconsistencies and you can see areas of where you need to improve it because you've made the box kind of virtually and you can look at it in all directions.
Yep.
Really great.
So great question from Aaron, and then I have a suggestion. I'm curious how you all normally handle proofing responsibilities. You ever have someone else proof your work, or is that always on the client?
Oh, that's such a tough one. As much as you want to put it all on them, you're still kind of like responsible. The first thing I do in my estimate, in all of my upfront stuff, is that approved copy has to come from them, like in a Word doc or something. You can't email it to me. You can't text it to me. I want it in a Word doc. And then I say, look, we understand there will be changes, but don't send it until it's like at least approved by all shareholders and it's everything you and your marketing team, social media people have decided should be there, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And then run a few spell checks on that just in case when you get it. That's always a good thing to do.
Command Control I.
Exactly. I have it all on like auto, like, and
Nice.
I've been using Grammarly a lot too, which is very helpful in emails and things like that.
Oh, that's the only thing I see on YouTube. I need to.
Oh, the free version is fantastic. It's like, it even does, it helps your phrasing and everything else too. It's not just like spelling and stuff.
Oh.
But then the beautiful thing is now with like Illustrator's spell check is now you can have it on automatic or not. So it will show you little underline, like you can see how it did here. Chocolat is misspelled. They knew it. There we go. It's still misspelled that way. This is it's a French way of saying it. So it's not in the English language.
Someone in chat pointed that out. Mary pointed that out earlier, and I was like, what is she talking about with an S? And I was trying to look at the words, and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
and she totally
Yeah.
got it. So thank you for that. I missed it.
See, she's our spell check.
There we go.
So again, going back to that with the clients, like then what I've learned too is when they get the final proof that you're sending to them, it's always in that heat of the moment where they're like trying to send it to the printer and everyone's freaking out. And I always try to stop them. I say, you could do it in so many different formats, or you could just make your own PDF form and say, read all this. You are responsible for all text from this point on. We will make any necessary changes that you need, but your sign off means your team has approved the copy as is before printer.
Yep.
That's a great way to do it.
Yep. And getting that sign off from them is so important. I printed 1,000 mugs once with something that I just made up. We were doing, it was supposed to have a verse on it, and I was like, I think I know this, and I just put it on there, and then I was like, nope, that's not a thing. I just made that up, and now it's on 1,000 mugs.
Yeah.
So it can be trouble to not get that sign up.
But I've been there many times where things have happened, and what did that just do? There we go. I did a text box, and you just don't want. I think the whole thing is just lower the odds of that happening, whatever you can up front. You know.
Yep.
It might like leak through, but oh my gosh.
And it looks like it still has the E at the end on that space where you put chocolate.
Here.
Yes, that it should just be chocolat.
Let's see.
Right. It looks like there's an E at the end.
Is there?
Oh no, you're right. You're right. Chocolat. Yes, that is.
What
right.
are you seeing? What are you seeing?
Chocolat. That's right. That's correct.
Shock.
Okay,
yeah, I always spell like shock.
Okay, never mind. I'm looking in the video description. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Killer.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So we got about 20-ish minutes left just for time for you.
Cool. Okay. So let's not forget that when this opens, we want the continuation of it, right? So you won't believe this is chocolate, all that kind of stuff. We're showing a cool application. Where this will be is it will reveal this panel, but our artwork has got to be upside down here. Okay. Yep. So we want to do something where, oh, actually, no, it will be right. So if it's attached to the base, you know this is going to read upright. So I want to repeat these things here, but I'm going to bring in the ingredients to show like how clean these things are. So we're talking about this. We're saying it's plant-based. You won't believe it. When they open it up, they're going to see both sides. And so if we ungroup this, I'm going to squeeze in here and see. And let's move these over and center them now where they should be.
And so this is the reveal. You're thinking about the experience.
Exactly.
Right? You're watching the YouTube video and the influencer is like, hey guys, dude. Oh wait, hold on. I actually have my makeup brusher here. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Stay tuned for an unboxing video. And then it shows them, right? And they open it and there's the reveal of like, look at these great ingredients.
That is hilarious. Dude.
That's what we're trying to construct here and almost like force that experience of like, this is what we want to see in every YouTube video without telling them what to do.
Yes. You're giving them the roadmap, basically, you know?
Yep.
As we say on office hours, you're holding their hand.
Holding their hand. We talk about holding hands all the time on office hours.
If only we can get a little, like, there's a great song. Can I name the band?
That we could probably get the rights to.
Yes.
If we had millions of dollars.
Yeah. Does Hootie and the Blowfish still even check their copyright?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. So I need to bring our little head titles in here. So I'm just doing, oops.
Yep. And that way when they're looking into the box, again, we're thinking when they have it open and they're looking into the box, they'll know which product is on which side, right? They'll have that reveal at the front. They'll be looking down into it and know on this side is this one, on that side is this one.
Exactly. So we don't need the ampersand. We don't need that. Again, I'm going to fine tune these all. I got to get the ingredients in here. So it's not a lot, but I think what I want to do is kind of get these centered for now. We'll go back there and do it. So let's go to this guy. Here's our ingredients. So this is for the peanut. And you can see it's not a lot. Whoop. Sorry, giving you guys a complete roller coaster ride.
Extreme close-up.
All right, let's bring it back. So this was for the peanut butter. So I know for sure I got to break standard here. We're going to go to centered. Didn't look good there. We're going to go to white.
Oh, I'm a big fan of centered text. I don't know what that beef is with that. I'm totally fine centering text. I don't know why people are mad about it.
No, totally agree. Totally agree. So let's zoom in and figure out how this is going to work. So I think this can come down a bit in size. So we will go here. I will jot this down a little bit. Start saying like, oh, maybe 7. All right. By 8.
Track it in,
Is that enough?
So as you set the type on both sides, I'm going to do a little chat and win.
Do it.
Chat. What we're going to do here is I'm going to have you, I'm going to ask a trivia question. And for the answer, if you have the right answer, I'll be picking 2 people. And go ahead and send me a DM here on Behance. You also can send a DM to Nick. I want you to follow on Behance, on Instagram, wherever it is. Wade will drop some links. Just send us a DM if you are the winner. If you're not, you can still DM us, but don't say that you're the winner because I'll know. So here's your trivia question, chat. Answer it, and 2 people that have the correct answer, we will get some time with Nick and I one-on-one to review your portfolio. So here is the question. The question is, what is it called when you are using uppercase and lowercase letters within the same word? What is that called? That's your little trivia. So put in chat what the answer to that is, and I'll pick a couple of people for our chat and win. I'm not going to ask if you know the answer yet because you'll give it away. Do you know the answer without saying it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Glad.
Both upper and lower in the same sentence.
In the same, yes. Yep. 100%.
Yes.
Cool.
Illustrator can tell you.
It's true. Can it?
Yes. It's right there in the. It's right there in the.
So in the actual word. Okay, there are 2 winners. So Vinayak, you are our first winner, and Stephen Booth, you are our second winner.
Was it title case?
It is not title case. So title case is
not
within the same sentence. If you're doing it within the same word, it is called camel case. Which I had never heard of before.
Oh, up and down.
Up and down, yeah. And so it's called camel case, which I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. So if you're doing a word that is 2 parts, like if it was like chocolate spread and the S, both the S's were capitalized, but it was one word, that would be in camel case.
I love that.
So great job. You 2 go ahead and send me a DM here on Behance, and we'll set up a time and you can hang out with Nick and I and get some feedback on your portfolios.
Man, that is such a cool little nugget, and it makes sense, right? Because of just what it is. I love that. That's
what these streams are for the cool little nuggets. To now you can use that in a client, and you can talk about that and talk about camel
exactly.
Which is
there
really
you
fun.
Go. So you can see what I've done. I'm starting kind of the idea here. I'm gonna hit save again.
Yep.
You know what's interesting too is what we'll see tomorrow when we look at the 3D model of it is I think you get a better chance to look at your type sizes too. And not only are they working in a hierarchy, but is it going to be legible? Is it large enough of a font? Do we have to shorten something up or find a more narrow font to maybe work for something there?
Yep.
That's always the case.
What's the smallest size you'll go on packaging?
Oh, well, it depends because there's so many. For readability, 7.
Oh, okay.
Why? What do you think?
I usually push to 9, but that's because a lot of mine are going for a broader audience, and so I need to take into account maybe an audience that doesn't have great eyesight.
Yes.
That is further on. And so I usually stay around 9-ish, and I have a journalism background, and so 9 is kind of the standard for magazines.
Yes.
And so my brain just sits there. And yes, 100% Patricia and Cody, camel case is used almost exclusively for coding and file naming and coding. That's where you see it the most. You'll see it every now and then in a brand, but yeah, file naming is used a lot.
Perfect. Love that. So you can see too what I did. I brought this over, like Andrew was saying earlier, the eyedropper will work if you just take the eyedropper and click on the one you want.
Yep.
Boom.
I had to do a sound effect on there.
The only thing it doesn't do is because I have a bold and a regular in there, I'm just 2 different styles. I'm just gonna. Oh, what did I do there? Did you notice that?
It just disappeared. What happened?
It should have just got it from here. There it is.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Woo! Illustrator.
There we go.
Don't get me.
It's got one extra ingredient in there.
Exactly. So, all right. So we can fine tune that later. How much time do we have?
We have probably about 15-ish minutes.
Good. All right.
Before challenge reviews, and we will have a little bit of time after challenge reviews to come back to this to kind of wrap up and overview what we've been working on today.
Yes.
We don't have a ton of challenges to review that have been coming in, but we do have some. So, we can kind of flex. We got flex time.
Cool.
If you've watched ever any stream with the name, you know that we push it to the last second. So that's what we're gonna do.
So here's a good question for everybody. I purposely left something out. It's on my checklist, but think about what we're doing. We're making this influencer box. We're hoping they're going to share it. What's one thing we have not done for the company here that we need to do? I'm curious if anyone can pop that in on chat.
Yep. What's the thing that we need to have on the box that is very obviously misking? Man, it's so hard to say words and read chat at the same time. I think I know. Can I take a guess?
Well, let's see because it's two things, but they wrap up into one little component. Okay. They're very similar.
Okay, while we think about that, I'm going to give you my suggestion that I had. This is my art direction.
Yes.
What if on the little flaps on the front, the little like angled ones?
These guys?
What if those were 1, green, or 2, white, with like a pattern of that little like icon that you have? You have like a little tree icon or whatever.
Oh,
if
yes.
There's like a pattern of that, then it's green with like white, so it's just like that extra little fun pop of like.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Because that's free. It's not making any extra to the budget, which is really, really cool. You know?
Yep. And it's a nice little like, it's the smallest piece, so you can do something a little funky without it getting completely out there. Contact
it can even. Oh, sorry. Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Contact info, social media.
There it is.
I think is the one. Yeah, social media.
Wrap them up together.
Right? Yeah, that's all in the. So yeah, I think social media is the big thing that is missing. And Tansu, do you speak Turkish? I don't, but I do know how to say hello. So merhaba, hello, welcome.
Nice. Perfect.
Yes, spend a little.
So
time
for now, I think
there.
What I'm going to do is just bring that over right now, knowing this has got to be maybe front and center on all of our other. So before I design anything here, I know this one's got to read this way, and I'm going to put it just here for now.
Yep.
Group it. So now I'm going to know like both my side things here have it. So I'm going to just do a drag and flip, and then we got it right there. Okay. I might even go, geez, just for the sake of it, put one here as well. Yep. So a great thing to think about is when this gets folded here, I've already done something wrong. So your fold tells you it's where the base, if this is the base. So what I did wrong was this has got to go here, and this has got to go here. Does that make sense?
And the most helpful thing that I've ever done when working with box packaging like this is print it, cut it, and fold it. And one, it's really good to see where everything lands. And two, you get a cute little tiny box. It's so great.
I wish I saved them, man. Because you make them off your like just your printer paper, and they're these flimsy little things. But sometimes, it's the first time you get to actually even see something in real life, which is always kind of good. You know, I kind of like that as well. So I'm gonna shoot for what else should we? Trying to think. What else we've got? We're going to do what we could do in like 5 minutes here.
Oh, so, yeah. Yep. And question from Beck that I can answer while you work. Where do you get the packaging die lines from? Usually from the printer.
Yes,
from whoever you're working with, they'll give it to you. Don't use templates. Don't use anything that you find. It will not match what they're doing. So you need to get from them. That's their responsibility to get that to you. And that way, if something is wrong, if the dialite gets cut weird or whatever, you can go back and say, hey, here's the template that you sent us. This is one we worked off of. And that way it's not kind of willy-nilly. And Tamzu says, you are doing a very good job. So great job, Nick.
Thank you.
Great job. Chat loves you.
Perfect. I love that.
Approved.
That's a great question because I do know sometimes you're educating the client on the die line. That I know a lot of young designers that get approached and say, hey, can you design me a box? And they go, yes. And then the first thing they say is, do you design the box? And that tells you, one, they haven't talked to a printer yet. And they didn't realize that that's maybe where it comes from. I'll engineer a box because I know a lot about it. But you've got to know that the printer is going to make a die line based on your design. So it's got to be like perfect to the dimensions, right?
Perfect. Yeah. And if you haven't seen any of the packaging ones before, go back and search the packaging stream with Jeremy Slagle because he did do that. So he made a custom box because he had a really weird product. It was a stake that you put in the ground to harness your bird so it can like fly around without flying away. And so it's a really weird shape. He had to do a custom packaging. So if you want to go back and watch that one, and he goes through a little bit of how he worked with the printer to create that like custom dime, that custom die.
So this is interesting. This is these are two ingredients that the client really wanted to kind of push a little bit. That it has this amazing cacao and it also has organic date syrup.
Yep.
If you don't know, palm oil is like it's the new hydrogenated palm oil that everyone was, trying to take out of foods. So palm oil, I believe, is tied into like the burning of Amazon rainforest and all that other stuff to get. And brands are now finding alternatives for it, and it's actually very ecological to not use palm oil. So we're gonna talk about what we use and what we don't use. So I want to do on this flap here, I want to emphasize like these two ingredients, right? So I think the thing I want to do, I love when I see things that are kind of like stacked, they fill up, maybe even they like bleed the side of the piece, right? So I've outlined them. I'm just going to group each sentence. And then what I'm going to do is I want to like get them to be the same kind of size in a way where they look kind of like this.
Yep.
And maybe you can even like duplicate them, start making like a pattern out of them.
Ooh,
okay.
fun, yeah.
And then what I'm going to do is use the lighter copper here and like let this be maybe a cool little background pattern for this one.
Yep. And thank you, Wade. Wade has dropped the link to that packaging design stream. If you want some more packaging design, go ahead and put that in your to watch, save it on YouTube, and you can catch up on that later. Is this adding another color, Nick?
No, because remember, we're all for color processing.
Yep.
So what I've done is these two colors we came up, I showed PMS chips to the client to lock them in.
Yep.
And then with the printer, we've already figured out what the 4-color breakdown for each one is. So now when I use a shade of that, it's a shade of that 401 CMYK breakdown, which is fantastic. So it's not another color. Great question.
I understand now that we're doing like CMYK printing and not like 4 colors.
Exactly.
In my brain, it was like 4 spot colors.
I
don't know why I didn't connect that when we put
Yeah.
on like an actual illustration that I wasn't like, that's a lot of colors. I was just like, oh yeah, the illustration, toss it on there for our 4-color limit. It makes sense.
Nick
now.
just keeps dropping colors like
I was like, man, dude,
like they're
this
free.
is expensive.
So see what it does? It's kind of a nice little, I like this idea that, and then it gets cropped a little bit. So you want it to go past that because even if it shows up here, you do need it to go, if you want anything to crop where a cut is, you still need to go past it, but that's a tuck flap, that won't even be visible. So we're good with that, okay?
Yep. Could we, and again, we like, this is just armchair direction, can you offset those maybe so that the type isn't like repeating, that it feels like a wallpaper, right?
Yeah.
A little more motion.
Okay. So let's see. Once again, I'm going to take them off the pad. I have to see them. I have to see them off of the board, right?
Yes. So I have.
There we go.
If you guys have ever watched my Behance stream, so I'll Behance stream at night on my personal channel, and I usually take the brush tool and I make a huge arc on the upper left side of my like screen, and I banish things to the nether realm. That I'm like, all right, that didn't work. Like banish to the top corner, and then every now and then I'm like, oh, remember that idea we have? We're gonna go ahead and invite them back into the conversation.
I love it. So I think you're talking about doing something more like this idea where
exactly,
kind of like,
and then cropping it in so you can still read both, but it has like a little more.
It's a good thing I kept the periods there because I think that helps a little bit. But now I think I'll take these two out and we'll just grab these. What am I grabbing? There we go.
Something extra.
Oh,
it's all that text. Yep.
And then
also,
maybe find a good shift for it there. Of course, I'm going to be like just cropping a little bit of this, but I think that's kind of cool. I probably need one more of these to finish it off, and then we'll go back to, I want to make sure nothing's hitting a descender of the fonts.
Yep. And
perfect.
Y'all, if you're sleeping on dates, you're missing out. Just I see the date syrup in there and I'm like, y'all, like I feel like America doesn't know about dates, and they're the best thing ever.
And they're being used in a lot of recipes too, which is fantastic as a sugar substitute, you know?
Nice and sweet.
Yeah. So I think this is cool, man.
Fun.
I think we even get more bang for our buck. And now what I'm going to do really quick just to make sure. So here's what you got to do. I don't want this to bleed to the bottom panel. So I'm just gonna make a mask. So I'm just gonna go like here. Probably can't see what I'm doing. And
Yep.
we'll go.
And
Go ahead.
he's using the pen tool to clip this out. The thing that I've learned, especially about boxes, is do not use like rectangles, circles to do any kind of cuts. Use the pen tool to get exactly where you want, because sometimes like a perfect rectangle is not what it actually is.
Exactly.
Like there's
Especially
like a
in these
2-degree
corners.
curve. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm gonna just grab my overall shape, this shape, Command 7, and there we go. I'm gonna send it to back, and I'll send this guy to back, and there we go.
There we go.
So you can see what it's doing is it's bleeding here because we need it to go past this panel, but I don't want it to go past this panel.
Yep.
So we've we've made a custom mask. Okay. Don't ever like lay blocks. I always see people put like they don't mask anything.
Yep.
So this is our thing for blocks.
Yep.
You just
I've definitely done that when I don't want to do a clipping mask. I'll put white stripes like outside, and like I don't have to block it out. I'll figure it out eventually.
Perfect. So let's take this guy. This is super easy. I just dupe it. Bring it to the front. I will move it this way because it's symmetrical. I line it up there. It's going to work great. But this is obviously the wrong color. So I'm going to grab these guys. Oh, I think I had it with my select sync, didn't I? I'm just going to ungroup it just to be safe. So you just go to clipping mask release. Okay. Grab let's see, where's my thing? There it is.
There it is. That is the number one use that I have for outline mode, is figuring out where's the clipping mask shape. And
Yeah, exactly.
Select it.
So I need to make this lighter yellow. There it is.
There it is.
Now grab everything, Command 7, bring it back, line it up with that. It probably has to go to the back.
Do you not have your smart guides turned on?
I never use smart guides.
Oh my gosh, they're a lifesaver for me.
Oh, they bother me to no end.
Oh, that's all that I use. I love smart guides. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That's funny.
Yeah, I just kind of like I don't know. Every time they're on, it interrupts the free flow. I know what they do.
Yep.
And that's great. But man, I'm just like such a fan of the figure. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch a tutorial.
Different workflows. Right?
That'll help me out.
Stream here on Behance.
Exactly. So we're coming along pretty cool. Looks like I made a double. Let me see here. What did I do? I made like a double line here. Which one? Okay.
And we do have to hop over into Daily Creative Challenges in just a minute here, Nick.
Good. Okay.
So if you guys have not submitted yet, I'm going to talk while Nick buttons this up. If you guys have not submitted, you can do so right here at bit.ly/AI Discord. That's a place to post your daily creative challenges. If you have literally no idea what I'm talking about, well, hey, let me tell you about something really great. It is called the Daily Creative Challenges. It happens here every day on Behance. And hello, our friend Gus is here. Hey, Gus.
Yo, Gus.
So we do daily creative challenges every single day. We are looking at the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenges in just a minute, but you can get involved there at behance.net/challenge/illustrator. Right now it is your friend Cloudy. She is this week and next week taking you through a journey learning Illustrator. And then the week after that, August 31st, it will be yours truly coming back to be your mentor. We are doing a detective noir theme. So I'm going to teach you how to do a lot of really cool text effects, do some like long shadows, all that fun stuff. In a couple weeks, August 31st, mark your calendars. All right, let's hop in. Today we are looking at the challenge was invitation designs. We also are looking at the challenges that were kaleidoscopic designs. My goodness, what a word. So we're going to hop into those for a few minutes and kind of talk about what we see. Let me go ahead and hit the button, make sure everything looks good here. All right.
You got to tell me a little bit about where to go here.
Yes, so you're going to go ahead and click over on Challenge in the Feedback tab on the left.
Okay, got it. I'm in Illustrator, right?
There we go.
Illustrator first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Illustrator, and then you're going to go over to the Feedback Challenge.
Oh, perfect.
There should be a little picture of ghosts that Carrie literally just posted.
Oh, wow. How far up do we go here?
Cool. So let's start at the bottom here. You see the ghosts?
Get into it. Get into it.
get into
Yes.
it?
Oh,
Yeah, cool.
awesome.
So let's
Carrie.
start at the ghost and then kind of work our way up. This is a challenge from yesterday, so I'll try to designate if it's yesterday or today. This was yesterday doing the kaleidoscopic. Nick, any thoughts or feedback on this?
I dig that one. That's really cool. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Ghost of Pac-Man.